podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PMR! Hey!
Yeah,
Who is that guy?
I don't know. But whoever he was, he's weird and pissed off.
Oh, man.
Cavebabble. Hello and welcome to Cavebabble episode 263. This week's episode, The Wraith. This episode is brought to you by, where's Charlie?
Charlie!
Where'd Charlie go?
Charlie! Charlie Tuna?
Wasn't Charlie in this movie?
Charlie!
Yeah. Hello everyone, this is Eric and
this is Valerie.
And we are both ghost cars.
We are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
What if I don't want to be a ghost car?
We're going to have to talk about that because the only way it makes sense is if the car is a ghost as well.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yes. Okay, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Blah 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 blah. Family talk at the beginning of the show, and on we go. There, we covered everything.
Yep.
Everything about the family. So let's go to the movie. All right. How are you today, babe?
Doing great.
You're doing great. Okay, that's it for the family. Here we go.
Well, we're here to talk about The Wraith.
We're here to talk about a class. Okay, it's not a classic. We're here to talk about a great. No, it's not great. We're here to talk about a movie from the mid '80s. Here we go.
There you go.
What are we discussing today? 1986's best year ever, by the way. The Wraith.
An evil force took his life. An unearthly power has brought him back. He is a phantom, a wraith, a cosmic spirit given another chance.
Are you new in town?
Yeah. Who's the kid?
I turned my back and the next second he was there. Like magic almost.
You ever seen one of those before? Let's just add it to our collection.
The Wraith, The Wraith, The Wraith.
Directed by Mike Marvin.
He also was the writer. Not just the director, but the writer.
Oh, poor thing. I feel sorry for him already. No, it was directed just fine, I suppose. Do you know what he is known for?
No, what is he known for?
He is known for skiing movies, is what he is known for.
Really?
Yeah, can you believe that?
Skiing movies,
Skiing movies. Actually, if you look at Mike Marvin's IMDb page, if you look at his biography, the entire first paragraph of his biography is all about the various homes that he's had around the Lake Tahoe region.
Wow,
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, but why do you lead off with that in your biography about a movie, about a director? Why would that be the first thing you talk about?
Maybe the person who wrote the bio was enamored by it.
He was known for ski movies. Back in 1972, he produced his first 90-minute ski movie called Earth Rider. And it featured the legendary, okay, who wrote this? Legendary ski parachute jump off of Yosemite's El Capitan.
Oh, wow.
So he did a whole bunch of skiing movies.
That's quite a stunt to do something like that. That would take lots of planning to do that.
He wrote Hot Dog the Movie, which was a skiing movie, a terrible movie, by the way. Mm-hmm. And it was shot in Squaw Valley, and it's loosely based on Mike's true life adventures making ski movies all over the world. There you go.
Interesting.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, that would be fun if, That would be fun, especially, I guess, obviously, growing up in that region, he probably was an avid skier himself.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he was. Of course he was. So, yeah, that's what he's known for. And this movie. Oh, except he also directed Hamburger, the motion picture. That's easy for me to say. Hamburger, the motion picture. Yes.
Hamburger, the motion picture.
Working that
How
one
to
up.
make a good hamburger.
We're looking that one up. That was before this movie came out. Oh, I guess I should do a plot synopsis first, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
that would
what I
probably
normally
give them
do?
an idea, pique their curiosity of what's this movie about.
If you don't know already, this is what it's about.
It's got an all-star cast.
Yeah, okay, something like that. Yeah.
But we'll start with the synopsis first.
What is The Wraith about? It's about 93 minutes. That's after a
just right.
After a young man is murdered by a road racing gang of motorheads. Yep, that's right. A mysterious, fast-driving spirit descends from the sky to take revenge. Yep.
Yep, that's it.
That is it. Good night, everybody. That's it. That's what it's about.
Yep, that's exactly what it was about.
Shall we let us get to that all-star cast so that we can get into this movie? Because oh man, is there a lot to say about? Well, I don't know if there is, but I've got a kick out of watching it anyway. I can't believe I hadn't seen it. You'd never seen it before, right?
No, I had never seen it before.
This came out in 1986, which to date myself here. Oh, I wish I could.
Date yourself.
I graduated high school in 1986, and
awesome.
And another famous movie, which I for some reason thought came out in 87, which it didn't, came out in 86. That also starred the main character in this film, Platoon, also came out in 86.
Ah.
There you go. So let's go to the stars.
Platoon is actually a little bit of
No, go ahead. No.
It's a little bit of trivia about that's where Charlie Sheen, which we're about getting ready to talk about, that was the movie that launched his career.
Can we please call him a Charlie Sheen from here on out?
Charlie
That's
Sheen.
almost what you said.
Charlie Sheen. I like that name. Yeah.
It's not
Charlie Sheen.
Well, let's just talk about him. Who stars in this movie?
Him.
Charlie Sheen stars as Jake Kesey, or the Wraith, also known as.
Man, he looks so young. Mm-hmm.
That's because he was. I think the first thing that I remember seeing him in Red Dawn.
Yep. He did a bit part in that with his dad. Mm-hmm. No. He was one of the main guys in Red Dawn.
Right, I remember him eating when they eat the deer's blood, drink the deer's blood.
Yeah, that's right. He had a major role in that.
Yes,
right.
he did. Right.
No, when he was 9 was when he was in had a small part in his dad's movie, The Execution of Private Slavic in 1974. So actually if he was 9 in 1974, he was actually in his 20s when he did The Wraith.
I think most of the people in this movie were in their 20s when they made it.
But he looked younger than that, but maybe not. The older we get, the younger everybody looks.
Well, look at Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen's not a big guy. I don't know how big their mother was, but I should say. I guess she's still around. I don't know. These are things that someone with a show should probably look up.
Well, Janet Sheen, she does not have a death date, so she must still be around.
That must really upset you because you can't do your stereotypical, she's dead.
She was born July 9th, 1944, Janet Sheen.
Yeah.
She was born Janet Elizabeth Templeton.
Right. Let's give her some love. I mean, that was half of what produced Charlie Sheen. So
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
And she gave birth to 4 actors. Yeah. 4 actors.
Imagine that, and married another one.
Yeah, and married one, and then gave birth to 4. Yeah.
Oh my God!
So they were the patriarch of the Sheen family, but really not Sheen.
The Estevez.
She's
family.
the Sheen, the Estevez family.
So there you go. So there's a lot to say about him. He's crazy, of course, now, and well known for his shenanigans. Shenanigans. That's showing my age. Here's a guy. That's definitely a guy who graduated in 1986. Charlie Sheen and his shenanigans. Anyway, enough said about him.
And part of it is like what I, want to point out. He's a very, very successful individual.
Dickhead?
Well, he's done several movies and a famous actor anyways. He did not go to college. He barely graduated from high school. In fact, a few weeks before he was scheduled to graduate, he was expelled because he had poor attendance and bad grades. So this again just proves my point, of where I've said before, college isn't for everyone.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it sounds like he got his into the business through his dad.
Well, according to you, his mother produced 4 actors.
That's true. That is what I said, yeah.
Yeah, it was meant to be. So
it was meant to be, yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Nick Cassavetes as Packard Walsh.
You know you can get killed riding on the back of bikes, Carrie.
What a dick. I mean, not him. Not Nick himself.
The Packard Walsh character, yeah.
Son of the famous John Cassavetes, the director. So, yeah.
He's definitely a bully.
Yeah. Oh, he was nothing but a bully. And now, seriously, his character, no one liked him.
No, he played his part well.
No one would have cried if he died at any given time in this movie, right?
Correct.
How do you become the leader of the gang? I guess you can just beat up everyone, huh? So
through fear, I guess he's got his gang through fear, but he obviously, he provided a place for them all to use their skills.
Yeah, that's true. All those mad motor skills. Almost enough said about him. You were meant to hate him, but he was a one-note character through the whole thing. He was just overall nasty to everyone at any given time. He never showed any emotion other than, I want to come and cut you up. So, yeah, there was no arc.
He is the kind of guy that wears pants to the local swimming hole and still is the leader of a gang.
The family, the man who played Packard, Nick Cassavetes.
Yes.
He was, he broke into the business because of his dad.
Right, exactly. Yeah, his dad's a famous director. Mm-hmm.
A lot of nepotism as in the Hollywood.
Oh, those Hollywood people. Mm-hmm.
And Nick is still alive and kicking.
He's directing now, I believe. He's a director as well. Okay, let's move on. Sherilyn Fenn, to someone who's much better looking than him.
One that you actually had a crush on at one time, right?
I did kind of have a crush on her at one time. She played Carrie Johnson in this movie.
I like you.
She just has amazing eyes. I love her eyes.
I've never made love to you. I never will.
Well, who else had a crush on her?
Probably Charlie Sheen.
No, Johnny Depp. She was actually
right.
Johnny Depp's girlfriend during this film. In fact, Johnny Depp, stayed in the hotel/motel with her during the filming of this. And this movie was filmed in 27 days.
27 days? I can totally believe that.
And Johnny Depp was actually possibly going to play Jake, would have been Charlie Sheen's role, or Augie, which we'll soon talk about.
Oh yeah, soon. We will get to Augie. He was the first to die, by the way. Mm-hmm. Oh, poor Augie. Mm-hmm. No, I don't feel sorry for him.
So Sherilyn is still alive and kicking.
Yep. Jeez, good Lord. Yeah, and she's gone on to bigger and better things. She was not very good in this movie. I as a matter of fact, I have to say that at the time that I was enamored with her, she wasn't a very good actress.
Oh.
That didn't seem to matter that much to me back then. I wonder why.
Now, she was not from a family of actors and actresses. She's from a family of musicians. So that might have been how she got her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Fenners?
The Fenders?
No, Fenners. Yeah. Is that the band? Were they the Fenners?
Doesn't say. Well, I'm not reading that far as to
If it's not, I'm going to be very disappointed. Okay, let's move on.
Her
Randy.
father was a manager of bands such as the Pleasure Seekers, an all-female band.
Yeah, let's move on to her father. That's what I meant to say. Go ahead. The Pleasure Seekers?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm going back to the Fens. I want to be the Fens now.
He also managed Alice Cooper, the $1 Billion Babies.
You say that like it should mean something to me.
Well, I know. Yeah, it should. Yeah.
Alice Cooper and someone else.
Blah, blah, blah.
And someone else. Yes, ma'am? Okay, Randy Quaid.
I've been waiting to catch you guys in the act.
Speaking of crazy
Randy
people,
Quaid.
he played Sheriff Loomis, who mostly just yelled at the guys about them being drug takers. That's pretty much. He was a one. Okay. I complained about him throughout the whole movie, and you'd had no problem with him.
No, because he was Randy Quaid. I mean, that's how he always acts.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
He doesn't act any different, and he plays the same character no matter what character he plays.
I don't know. That whole hardtack sheriff routine and or police chief routine, I'm so sick of that. Really, I am. I'm tired of it. And that's all he does through this whole thing is just get in people's faces and talk to them like this. And
well, when it wouldn't fly these days. People are too offended by that type of police behavior, so it wouldn't fly in today's movies. Like it barely flew back then.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah,
I think so because police cannot have that persona anymore because it gets them into way too much trouble. Yeah.
He can cut out a mean paper chain doll though.
Oh yeah, and then cut off their heads.
Through that entire scene he did that, babe. He made that for that whole scene he was creating.
I wonder if they traced it and all he had to do was cut along the lines.
I certainly hope so. I would hate to think that he was burning any more brain power than needed for that scene.
Mm-hmm. But it was a good visual.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He certainly wasn't using brain power to vary his delivery at all. So.
No, but he had to, do something at the level that those four guys would. Their, gray matter, what little they had, would understand.
That's right. Okay, moving on. Matthew Berry plays Billy Hankins.
I'm Billy Hankins. I work over at Big K's, slinging burgers.
He who is burger chef and brother of a dead brother.
Brother of a, yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought, he played a strong, I thought he did his role well.
Yeah, he was fine. There were only a couple scenes with him that I thought, maybe another take would have been good for that one.
Mm-hmm. But they only, 27 days.
Yeah, right. There weren't a lot of second and third takes, right?
No.
And in the best parts of the movie, they couldn't have a second take because, wow, we'll get to it. Explosions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Probably didn't quite have the
budget
for that.
Right. I know absolutely nothing about Matthew Berry. I know I've seen him in other things, I'm sure. I just don't really know much about him.
Well, he was born September 5th, 1962 in New York City.
New York City?
He is a casting director and actor known for Good Guys,
Aww.
The Other Woman, The Notebook.
He was in The Notebook?
Casting director. Casting director and actor.
Oh, okay. I was going to say he had to have played in The Notebook.
Yeah.
He casted it. He got Ryan Gosling. He called up Ryan Gosling and said, "Hey, you want to work this movie?"
He now lives in California as a casting director.
Wow, that's shocking that he would be out there in the film industry when he works the film industry. All right, can we get to
his father?
Oh, no, good.
Was an actor, so there you go. There's how we got into the business.
The nepotism in this world.
I know.
I can't believe it.
So, if he didn't have a father in the acting business, would he have been an actor? Would he have made it into acting?
Well, probably so, because
based on this film,
he probably still would have been in this movie because if you remember, his father played bass in the Fens. So
I think out of the people who were casted, he probably may have been continued on because I thought he he didn't overact, he didn't underact, but like you said, there were a few scenes that, if they had time, probably should have been redone.
Yeah, there were a few that kind of, well, there are a few for all of them that kind of got to me.
But they didn't have a big budget. They only had a $2 million budget, so.
Yeah, which these days sounds like just ridiculous.
Almost three. 2,700,000, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got to move on.
Okay.
David Sherrill plays Skank, everybody's favorite nasty drug-taking brother.
I'm tweaking, dude.
Who hangs out with dead airplanes. Skank. Get one.
Everyone should have a skank.
Everyone should have a skank. Could you please say that again without my voice over it so I can isolate it?
Everyone should have a skank.
And we do.
Not. I don't think anyone should have a skank. He's awful. He played his. Now he did play his part well. I don't think he overacted or underacted. He was a dead-on, druggie.
Now, wait a second now.
Druggie motorhead.
You're saying he didn't overact or underact in this movie, but at one point he is snorting WD-40 through the little tube.
Yeah, that's true. But he played his character well, right? He was supposed to be a psychotic druggy motorhead, and he played it well.
You couldn't get any more 80s than his hairstyle and the makeup on his face.
Oh, God, yeah.
That was completely 80s right there.
Very much so.
You know who else was 80s?
Who?
His brother, Jamie Bosian, played Gutter Boy.
But we know our constitutional rights, sir. You can't just come in here and... Oh, wow.
It was his brother.
And is Gutter Boy the one whose clip led off our show?
Gutter Boy is the one that is in every clip that I'm ever going to play during this show.
Now, did you know that clip you shared at the beginning of this show, you know probably why you like it so much?
Because it was ad-libbed? I don't know why.
No, because what was the clip again that you played? It was about the
it was, where'd that guy come from? Or something like that.
Who is that guy?
Who was that guy?
He's pissed. He's weird and he's pissed. Yeah, right?
He's weird and he's pissed. That's what Skank said. That's not what Gutter Boy said.
Okay.
Gutter Boy said, who was that guy? Who was that guy? Who was that guy?
Oh, well, I know eventually you play the clip, too, about him being weird and pissed because you know where that comes from. And the reason why you like that clip so well, it's from your favorite movie of all time.
From The Thing?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same, though, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't think it was verbatim, but maybe.
So the trivia says. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a clip from The Thing that I'd forgotten, so. I mean, I do know that line. I guess I'll play it here. We'll play them side by side. How's that sound?
Yeah,
I'll play them side by side, and then I'll feel bad that I didn't realize they were the same clip.
But whoever he was, he's weird and pissed off.
I don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
Yeah, the thing is just, it's right up there with one of my favorite. It's one of the movies I've seen the most.
Yeah.
Definitely. Between that and the first two Alien series movies and pretty much all the Star Trek movies and there are lots, and Star Wars and there are many that I see. Oh my God, I don't even know how many times I've seen The Thing, but yeah, you're right. I should have caught that. Maybe that is why I liked it so much.
But now, Gutter Boy, I found his character the most obnoxious, so irritating, like fingernails on the chalkboard.
He is the worst.
He talk about overacting his part. He was, yeah.
Oh, and they just...
If you were to cast him in anything else based on his abilities to act in this movie, his acting career would have been over.
He's the most likely to be, both he and Skank are the most likely to be featured in a Road Warrior movie.
Yeah.
And he go ahead.
I was going to say, in fact, that's what a lot of this movie was inspired by, is the Road Warrior.
Yeah, and that is totally obvious. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I may not have remembered the Thing quote, but that was pretty obvious.
He obviously didn't have too much, Jamie Bosian, too much of an acting career because his bio is extremely small.
Look at all these girls, gang. You're laying around the rocks, you hardly got any clothes on.
Oh, is it really?
It's like one line, one sentence. So
best known as Skank is what it says in his bio.
He was in 2 other movies besides The Wraith. Yeah, he was in Con Air and The Last Prom. Don't even know The Last Prom.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I called him Skank. He was Gutter Boy.
So. Gutter Boy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, he didn't...
They put so much crap on his teeth that it was hard to watch him as he was speaking. He just had so much gunk layered on it. I just wanted to say, scrape that dude's teeth. Ugh.
His top teeth, his bottom teeth were nice and white, but his top teeth, they were just covered in to make him look yellow and like he'd never brushed.
I'm a little concerned that you paid that much attention to his lower teeth.
I did, because it was a very obviously contrast. The bottom teeth did not match the nastiness of his upper teeth.
Babe, do we need to have a little talk about your fascinations? This is a little weird.
With oral hygiene, yeah.
Your fascination with oral hygiene. Okay.
Oral hygiene, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hygiene.
A basic daily personal hygiene that everyone really should be doing.
Speaking of people with questionable hygiene, Clint Howard played Rughead.
I don't want to get killed over something I had nothing to do with.
And boy, does he have one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's some hairstyle. His hair was that a wig?
Yeah, and as soon as I saw him, I thought, oh, did Ron Howard direct this movie? Because he's in all of Ron Howard's movies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Clint Howard, how old? I want to know how old he was.
He was born April 29th, 1959.
59. Oh, so he's your age. He's...
So in 86.
I'll cut that out. But,
cut that out.
Yeah, so, yeah. He was quite old.
Yep, he was quite old. He had been trying to play the same age as everybody else when he was like 20. Well, not quite 20. 10 years older than everybody else.
Yeah, well,
so
I don't know.
He was in his 30s, yeah.
So, yeah, but he was such a small guy that he could pull it off. I want to know...
No, he wasn't in his 30s yet. Not in 86.
No, not in 86. He wasn't yet 30 at that time.
Right, he was still in his 20s, yeah.
Bam! Just like that. That's all there is to it, Dustin. That's all there is to it. A winner!
Cavebabble does math. Okay, there are only 2 more for me to go through before I lose interest in this cast list.
Oh, really? We got a few more.
We have 2 more. 2 more that I need to, because they're part of the gang. So I have to at least get the gang. We have Griffin O'Neill playing Augie.
Stay on your side of the road, man.
He died first.
He's first to die. He deserved it.
Yeah, he was just kind of a dick.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of a dick. Wanted to fight with what's his name? Billy. Matthew, the guy played by Matthew Berry. He almost got in a fight with him. He was enough of a dick in that scene that we didn't care when he was... I mean, not that we cared when anybody died in this movie.
On that gang. Yeah, that gang.
Yeah, right. No, pretty much any of them. I don't really care. Anyway. So yeah, he played Augie, and Minty, the dude with the letter jacket, the douchebag with the letter jacket, was played by Chris Nash.
It was customized or something. Yeah, it was like a V-dub conversion with bodacious bags, and a surf rack on top and everything. Oh, it was awesome, man.
And probably of all of the gang members, he was the one that I most wanted to punch, even more than Packard. Mm-hmm. He was just a dick. He was a smarmy little... He was your typical
letter jacket...
Gearhead, the gearhead, letter jacket, gearhead, tough guy. He was, but not even particularly a tough guy, just a smart ass. He was just a smart ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I didn't like him at all. And he died. Yay!
So if you do a body count, if you belong to Packard's gang,
body count,
you're dead.
Now you have
there we've ruined their
body count.
Spoiler.
Okay, let's spoil this movie. You've all seen this, right? No.
We already spoiled this movie. We already told them everybody dies.
Yes, everyone dies. No, Sherilyn Fenn doesn't die.
That's true.
Carrie doesn't die.
Everyone in Packard's gang dies.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they all die. But unbloodily, why was that? I don't understand that part.
Well, probably had to keep the PG.
Well, it was originally
PG
rated.
rating.
It was originally rated R because of all the nudity, and they cut down some of that to get a PG-13. That's right, PG-13 films they could show boobs. Mm-hmm. That's right. They can't do that now.
Oh, they can't now. Huh?
You won't see
boobs in PG-13.
You won't see boobs in PG-13. You'll see violence. Violence really is what PG-13 means these days. Violence and language. There was no language in this film except for inappropriate terms for gay people.
Yeah, that they threw around then that you can't throw around now.
The other F word, which everybody called each other back then and didn't think a thing about it.
Right, because it didn't mean the same.
Well, it really did because it was derogatory. It was,
that's true.
It's like
that's true.
Well, it's kind of like saying asshole. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so surprisingly, and it was essentially blood free. I mean, the shots of the kid with missing his eyes, it wasn't gross at all.
No.
And none of the bodies really had much blood. The most blood was in a stupid scene with Packard when he cuts his own hand and then licks it. And
that's gross.
And then tries to feed it to Carrie. Here, Carrie, would you like to? He didn't say anything, but I just imagine him. Come on, just a little blood.
But now this film, I wonder why films can do this, but musicians can't. This film stole a bunch of scenes from other films. So right off the bat, this film starts with the flying lights.
Yeah.
That fly along a roadway, and then
is that Close Encounters?
Yep, Close Encounters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to picture the movies as you say these scenes.
Okay, the heavy breathing.
The Darth Vader
breathing.
Sounds totally like Darth Vader. I
caught that.
I have a clip of that here. I'll play it right here. It's hard. It's a little hard to hear because I had to really boost it. But yeah, he sounded like Darth Vader when it was his mask from the view of the Wraith as he was walking around him. He sounded like Darth Vader.
Yep, and you caught that right away as he walked up. You said that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I rewound it so we could hear it again.
In New Hope, the road pirates, terrorizing a wasteland.
Episode 4, yeah.
Okay, the Road Warrior.
Pretty much everything.
Mad Max 2, when they're using the handkerchief between two cars to start the race.
Well, that's every movie ever. So that means the Fast and the Furious series is all based on Mad Max 2.
Rebel Without a Cause, the Dark Car from Hell.
Yeah, never seen it. Oh, no. Did I just admit that? I've seen The Wraith and I've never seen Rebel Without a Cause.
I thought we had.
No, I've never seen that movie.
Interesting. No. For some reason, I thought we had.
As a matter of fact, I have to make an admission. I don't think I've ever seen a James Dean movie, period.
I must have watched that one by myself because I have seen that one.
So there you go. Go ahead.
I've seen a movie that you haven't?
Oh, heck yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So that car.
Can we talk about that car?
Yeah, you want to talk about that car?
I know all about that car. Go ahead and tell me, though. Go ahead and tell me, though.
This car was a Dodge M40.
M4S.
M4S, okay. S, not a 5. This was actually a pace car, right?
It was a prototype car. It was a Dodge car that was built as a prototype back in 81.
Yep. But it was used as a pace car for the PPG Kart Indy Car World Series.
Oh, that I didn't know. I just knew it was a prototype car, which you can tell prototype cars because essentially what they do is just slap a bunch of fiberglass around a frame and add weird details to it. That was the 80s version of a prototype car.
Yeah. Cost $1.1 million to make. They actually used this, the actual car in this movie.
Yeah.
But they weren't allowed to drive it around. It was parked and they took some screenshots of it now and then.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But then from this, they, of course, made several different models of it. The ones that they used to race down the road was actually just the frame put over a dune buggy.
Boy, isn't it obvious, too, especially the shots from the front. You can look right underneath the car. There's big gaps where it's just nothing but air underneath the front of that car. and so, yeah, it's pretty obvious that that's not what it was. Yeah.
And then they had others that were just, shells, just the bodies that they drug out, they towed out, and those were the ones that they used for the crash scenes.
Yeah, right.
And this is where, at the very end of this movie, it talks about, it gives a dedicated to the memory of Bruce Ingram. And Bruce Ingram was one of the cameramen who worked on this film. He died making this film.
Oh, I hate hearing things like that. Don't you? We hate it when people die during production.
Yeah, very much so. They were filming one of those chase scenes down the mountainside of Tucson, outside Tucson, and he was killed and another one was critically injured because the camera car was overloaded and overturned as they were filming one of those chase scenes. Yeah, sad. So hence that's why this movie was dedicated to him.
As his family, how would you like this to be your cameraman's legacy is the Wraith?
Yeah, I know.
Seriously. No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's a business and that's your job and people die on the job, but still.
Yeah. So that's where OSHA is all about trying to prevent.
Yeah.
So probably from that, they went in and investigated and said, don't overload your cameramen cars. Yeah, they probably now have rules and regulations of how much those camera cars can weigh.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I'm sure they make it as safe as they can, but things happen. Yeah.
Yeah, accidents happen. Mm-hmm.
Okay, can I talk about the car just a little bit more?
Yes.
Well, first of all, the M4S stood for Mid-Engine 4-Cylinder Sport. So this was a 4-cylinder car. The actual car is just a 4-cylinder car that's racing all of these other ones.
Well, this one exceeded 194 miles per hour.
Oh,
so
seriously?
It's pretty fast.
Well, there you go. Okay, it's just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So shows what Eric.
So you don't need those great big 6 cylinders, those big engines. These little engines are fast.
I know there are plenty of fast 4-cylinder cars now. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but anyway, that's not really what I wanted to talk about with the car. What I want to talk about is this. Okay, that whole scene that ripped off Close Encounters with the, flying around and knocking the signs and all of that, the signs being whacked just like in Close Encounter. Not whacked, but the effects on the signs. Okay, it manifests, that's a spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a dead dude's spirit.
Yeah.
That manifests itself as a dude standing on the side of the road and a car. That means his spirit manifests, half of it at least, manifests as a car.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's what you'd have to deduce from that.
Okay. So here's my question. At the end of this movie, he gives half his spirit to his brother in the form of a car. Isn't that car still a ghost car?
Part of him. Well, also too, if you're using the same analogy, he also has a spirit bike too, motorcycle.
Oh yeah, where'd the bike come from?
Because the bike also comes and goes as he does.
Okay, this movie makes absolutely no sense, and here's another reason why.
Is it supposed to?
No, yeah, but even for those standards, it makes no sense. Okay, Charlie Sheen, I mean, it's not him. It's not Charlie. It's Billy's brother, whatever his name was, that died. Jamie. Okay, Jamie that was killed by Packard.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes back as the spirit, and he manifests himself as the car and as the driver, the Wraith of that car, who is wearing leathers and a helmet, and then he has all these braces on his body that is helping him walk, and it's Mad Max. It's Mad Max and his braced leg.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Taken to total body braces.
Yeah, to total body braces. But he also manifests himself as Charlie Sheen without any braces, without any uniform, and without any helmet.
On a motorcycle.
On a motorcycle. And he just has scars on him, and he gets around just fine.
And if you pay attention to the scars on Charlie Sheen's body, those scars are strategically placed in the same places where he was stabbed during his killing, his murder.
Right. Yeah, those. Yeah, I got that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't understand is every time a gang member is killed off, one of those parts disappears for the braces that the Wraith is using, disappears.
So he heals. He seeks his revenge, he heals.
But he doesn't need to heal because he can already go around as Charlie Sheen without any sort of braces on.
Yeah.
They mean nothing. He's a spirit. He doesn't need to. I mean, what is that supposed to mean? Because then at the end,
symbolic.
Oh my God! And it's one of my favorite lines of the whole movie, which I haven't capped yet, so I need to record it. Is at the end when the Wraith does his little presto changeo, and we get it from Carrie's point of view as she's getting flashed with light, and then it's Charlie Sheen again.
Yeah.
And he said, I can't do that again.
I can't do that again.
Yeah. It's like, why?
Which means he's now stuck in that form. That was just their way of just passing off, well, that's the last time I get to change. And so then at that point...
because he's done his revenge. Yeah.
Right. But that was just I think, their way of letting us know that that's final form now, and he won't go back to that. Okay. And it was just done in a throwaway, well, I can't do that again.
Yeah, it was kind of like, if you weren't really paying attention, you wouldn't probably have caught that. But so at the end, jumping, I guess it jumped right to the end. But
yeah, well, I know.
So where did they go?
Matter. I don't know.
He told her that they were going, pack light. We're going on a short ride.
Where did they go? And I hope it was on a short ride because she was on the back of his Honda Enduro or whatever that thing was, that motorcycle, and he left his hot car, which is, by the way, half of his spirit, back with the brother at the drive-in.
So here's a twist for you.
So they just he's taking his girlfriend off into the desert on a motorcycle instead of that hot car.
So here's a twist for you.
Okay.
Here's a twist. Think of it a little bit differently.
Oh, God,
was Carrie?
Yeah.
Was Carrie dead through this whole movie?
No, I don't.
You don't think so? You don't think so?
Unless she is manifesting herself to Packard and taking his abuse.
But doesn't realize that she's not dead?
Okay, so that's the only way it works. It only works that way if she doesn't think she's dead. Because then
Charlie Sheen's character comes in. That's why it doesn't matter where they go, because they're both spirits, and now they go off and enjoy their life together.
Riding around the desert on a motorcycle?
Because she finally realizes who he was. Was she dead? Because I do know, if you think about it, pay attention, listeners, as you're watching this movie, when Randy Quaid's character talks about how they found her. They found her, Carrie, with her head bashed in.
No, they said they had whacked her in the head, and that's how they explained that they didn't think that she remembered everything.
Okay.
Because she had been whacked. Because she had flat out tells Packard at one point that she knows it was him that did it. So that means that up till that point, he didn't realize that she knew he had. Mm-hmm. Which to me meant that she had lost her memory. Because, of course, in movie fashion, if you get whacked on the head, you lose your memory.
Right. But also thinking back is like, what if she was killed? But when they found her as her ghost.
Well,
and it took Jamie, quote, Charlie Sheen's character coming back to help her remember. And then she was able to put that all to rest, and she was able to now come out of her purgatory and live her life and to embrace her spiritualism.
Which is to ride around in the desert with Charlie Sheen on a motorcycle.
Forever and ever, yeah.
Not on a road bike even, by the way. On a dirt bike. Death do
they part, because death is already death till they unite, yeah.
Man, they barely fit on that thing. I know I'm fixating on the motorcycle, but they barely both fit on that thing.
So did I put too much TSA?
I think you put just enough into it because
too deep. A different twist, a different meaning, a different look on this movie.
No, wait. I think it's happening. Yes, now I believe you. And you're right. I see this movie in a whole new light.
A deeper.
Oh my God,
deeper.
Babe.
It was deeper than just...
I think I'm crying. Oh, I need to watch this again.
See if you see that.
You know, I'm
That's what I got out of it at the very end. It's like, she was dead during this whole movie. So now watch it thinking, was she?
Even though they were concerned about hitting her as they were firing the shotgun.
Well, because they didn't know she was dead either. See?
How do they not know she's dead? They were part of the gang that did it.
Well, because, did they stick... Well, that's true, because they took away Jamie's body and left hers there. So, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Or did they?
Yeah.
They only focused on, Jamie's death, because when they found, it's just an interesting twist.
Well, they stuck Jamie in the trunk of Rughead's car, and he didn't realize he was
Rughead had a truck, so...
Oh, that's right, he did.
It was in the back of someone's car.
I don't remember. They're all gangs anyway. All I'm saying is, I'm tweaking, dude. I'm tweaking.
Now, Rughead, so all of Packard's gang didn't die.
Oh, that's true. Rughead didn't die.
Didn't die.
Oh, that's because he didn't want to take part, and he didn't know the dead body was in the car, and he didn't do a lot of things, so he just started the race. He never killed anybody. This film is filled with all kinds of music from 1986 and a little earlier. It's definitely an 80s movie. The thing is, they'll have famous stuff, like they'll have an Ozzy song, which, by the way, that Ozzy song that they play, that sounds so much like Round and Round by Rat, except sped up. It's crazy to me. I'm going to have to put them side by side. Here, you be the judge. I'll play a little bit of that song, which I can't remember the name of that song.
Secret Loser.
And I'll have the computer tell you which one it is, by Ozzy Osbourne. And then also Round and Round by Rat, and you decide. Just in this little part right here. Okay, those two sound very much alike.
Yeah, what do you think?
And it came and it was made after Rat made their song. I don't think they copied. I just think it's just weird how that works. But anyway,
and there again, hence you're not supposed to copy someone else's music, and people get into big trouble for that. But yet we can copy scene after scene after scene and use them in multiple movies, and that's okay.
That's right. That's right. I'm tweaking, dude.
I'm tweaking.
I'm tweaking, dude.
Tweaking, not twerking.
I'm tweaking, dude.
Yeah, tweaking. Tweaking. But anyway, then they have the electronic soundtrack score, I should say the score for the movie, which I need to get down here to the soundtrack. Composed and performed by Michael Hainig and J. Peter Robinson, two famous synth composers of movies and TV series soundtracks. And man, oh man, does it sound like the 80s. All the synth stuff is just
very much so. Oh, very 80s.
Just a little bit painful. But then they also have songs featured on the soundtrack, because the score is different than the soundtrack. The soundtrack is the songs that they use from different people. And they have lots of famous. So they have Billy Idol on there. They have Ozzy on there. They have different things like that. But then they have these other songs that are just stereotypical 80s pap that, I don't remember some of those songs. I remember most of them, but they couldn't have been famous because I don't recognize them. And they just sound like every other song in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe that's why they don't stand out, because they sound like every other song.
Oh, there's one in particular at the beginning when the guy and the lady who are at the very beginning who are harassed as they're driving down the road. Really, it's the opening scene music. It's the opening credit music. It's terrible. I hate that song. I'll play a little bit of that right here.
Move over if you see me coming. I've got the Midas touch. I feel the heat inside me. It's not enough, but it's a little too much.
Oh, nostalgia. Oh my God. Okay, Brooks, Arizona looks like a real happening place to live, doesn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know it was all filmed in Tucson and around Tucson. That's not the Tucson I remember. Tucson doesn't look like a ghost town or a rundown place. Tucson's a city. It's a full-on city. So I'm not sure where all of these places, those living in Tucson will recognize all of these spots, I'm sure. But to me, they did a good job of making it seem like out in the middle of nowhere. The whole thing, except for that drive-in, which they built, by the way, especially for this film. That is not a place that exists, the drive-in.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
They built that, what was the name? Big K's restaurant, that drive-in. That was the most popular spot in town, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That place was full.
It was hopping.
It was full every night.
It was the, quote, teen hangout. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I said that to lead into this.
Okay.
In order to work at this restaurant, you had this drive-in. You have to be a teenage girl who's willing to not only wear roller skates, but also half shirts without bras.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Isn't that a little creepy?
So you've got to be able to have the figure to be able to pull off that. Mm-hmm.
I know no one playing in this movie was underage, but that's really what they're saying, right? They're all underage, or are they?
Or are they? Probably not, because, there again, they...
Well, and here's the other thing that we are jumping to. The conclusion that both you and I are jumping to is that these are high school kids. We had no indication that they were high school kids.
That is true, yeah.
They didn't go to school. They didn't go to class. There was no anything that made us think that they were high school kids other than they were young and...
irresponsible behavior.
Yeah, racing each other around in their cars.
Usually high school kids demonstrate, and usually by the time you're an adult, you've been through the fast cars and the... Maybe not, yeah.
Well, see, Packard, the character Packard, makes the same mistake, though, because throughout this whole movie, he calls the Wraith the kid.
Yeah, he's just a damn kid, man. Packard said so.
Yeah,
he says, true. Where's that kid? He keeps calling him a kid. And it's like, what indication do you have that that's a kid other than maybe the height? Because he never sees the Wraith outside of the helmet and the leathers and anything.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he sees Charlie Sheen, but he doesn't realize that's the Wraith, at least not at that point.
Mm-hmm. Whereas Rughead.
Yeah, Rughead. Clint
Howard.
Howard.
At one time saw Jamie's face through the helmet.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and I didn't catch what that flash was. I saw it in the scene when he saw him, but I didn't catch that that's who was in there. Did you? I didn't. It was so quick. I didn't.
It was quick, but I've caught that that's what Rughead saw. Not Jughead, wrong.
Essentially.
Rughead saw.
They're all Jughead.
Yeah, they're all Jugheads.
Yeah. I would like to know where all of the themed 80s gangs went to. Mm-hmm. When did that stop being a thing? Are there still theme gangs out there? This one's a little different in that they weren't all a theme as a gang. They were individuals with their own theme.
Within a themed gang of...
Yeah, right. It's a bunch of quirky themes within a larger
that
gang.
all like cars. Mm-hmm.
And all I think is all of these guys are like 60 now.
Looking back saying, I can't believe I did that movie. But it was fun. Remember the good times we had. Yeah.
One of the scenes that, one of the shots, I should say, that I hope wasn't aped from any movie because I found it really amusing, was that opening shot of Charlie Sheen's character coming down the road on his motorcycle coming into town. There are all these little dips in the road. And by God, that shot follows him all the way down. It had to have been 3/4 of a mile that he rode on that motorcycle toward the camera. And it kept going and going and going and going. And I thought, this movie's only an hour and a half, and they still had to spend that kind of time on shots like that?
Spent 3 minutes coming down the road, yeah.
I guess it was to feature the music that was playing at that time, but guess what? It wasn't very good.
It hurts to belong to somebody else when somebody else comes along. Something in your eyes is saying, let's steal away.
Hey Eric, that is Stan Bush you are making fun of. He's got the touch.
And I think so. I think a lot of the scenes were longer than they normally would be these days because they were wanting to play more of the song.
Well, they had.
mhm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No.
I was just going to say, I think in this movie, that's kind of what 80s did. It was a lot of the soundtrack, too.
Yeah, exactly. And well, when you have the money you spend on even having things like Robert Palmer was in there. I'm trying to think of some of the other bands. You had to pay royalties on all that stuff. You had to get the rights, I should say, for these things. So I wonder how expensive. It must not have been too much because the whole movie production budget was under $3 million. So
yeah, right.
Of course, that was quite a bit of money back then. But
I kept, getting flashbacks as I was watching this movie. It's like, oh my goodness, that person's wearing, pink stirrup pants. I was like, oh my goodness, I had a pair of white stirrup pants. It's like, just like those. And then, the shirts, not shirts that were long enough that you didn't wear them with anything under them, but yet you really should have.
Right. Like that dress, the quote unquote dress that Carrie wears most of the time. Right. It has the split right up the back like it was buttoned.
Right. It's a long shirt. Yeah.
I mean, not that
I as dresses.
Not that I was complaining, I can say, but
the fringe shirt. I had a fringe shirt.
And that thing was hideous, babe. That was hideous. I mean, not your shirt, but hers.
Well, I know. Did you? Well, I guess you did see my pink fringe shirt. Mine was a little bit different as it had lace on it.
Yeah, I do. I do remember that. That thing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but that thing. Good thing you got rid of it, right? You don't have that stuff.
No, I don't have it anymore. It's been long gone.
But that thing could have taken a bullet strike. You know that, right? You could have shot that thing, and it probably wouldn't have gone through.
The clothing of the 80s was so interesting.
I think my favorite, actually, two examples, because they were very similar. My favorite example of that is that guy at the beginning, the two that are being harassed, the man. He is wearing this jacket/shirt thing that looks like a carpet.
Yeah,
and it was just those
quilted jackets that everyone wore in the 80s.
And there's a girl wearing one about halfway through, just a bystander type of thing, and she has one of those on too. And I thought, oh God, some of these styles they just needed to. I'm glad they died.
Yeah. So they did. They did stay very much in the era of the 80s that this was filmed both in the 80s and took place in the 80s. So I guess it was pretty easy to stay in the era. Huh?
Okay, I need to look up, because I did notice it during the movie, about the time they were at the graveyard where the gutter boys hang out with their dad, I guess. Is that their dad that is the mechanic?
Oh, they said those were he referred to them as his nephews.
Oh, is that what he said? Okay, so that was Uncle.
My nephews.
That was Uncle. What's his name? That was on the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, which has this huge area of dead airplanes. One thing that I remember as a kid and as an early teenager growing up is we took trips down to the Tucson area, and my stepdad was really into aviation. He was in the Air Force. And that's one of the places we went. So I just had flashbacks when I saw that. I was like, oh my God, I've been there, and seen it. It didn't look like they were in a part of it that was more overgrown than what I remember. It was mostly tarmac where I remember seeing it. But yeah, it's just rows and rows of dead planes.
So you remember those being on tarmac and not out in the field, huh?
Yeah, they probably weren't. It was probably not as clean as I remember it. But this just seemed like just a junkyard and just weeds all the way up to the pilots and everything. But I don't remember it looking like that.
The part you remember wasn't in the plane graveyard. It was the Air and Space Museum that is next to it.
But at the same time, I do remember just being amazed by the row after row of just the same kind of plane just lined up and gutted, not able to fly anymore and just mothballed out there.
Do you think it's used like a salvage yard, like cars? Are you people aeronautics? Are they able to go there looking for parts if they need a part for their airplane?
I don't know, and I'm sure only part of it is open. It is an Air Force base, I guess, but
that's true. So it's military. So
yeah,
maybe,
and so I'm not sure exactly what it's used for, and I'd have to look at I have looked at it on Google Earth before in just cruising around. I'd have to look at it again because it is huge. There are just airplanes everywhere. And
we've
I'm
also
not sure
driven,
what they do.
Yeah, we
Go ahead.
drove by, was it our New York trip when we drove by off, again, another military vehicle graveyard? It was huge. That went
Yeah, I
on
think
and
now
on.
that you mentioned that, I do.
One of our trips, one of our
Yeah.
many trips, road trips, we drove by another huge military vehicle graveyard. But this one was not aeronautic. I mean, airplanes. This one was.
They're both the coolest and the weirdest things ever
Yeah.
to see. It's just, I don't know why they're so odd, but
Mhm.
it's just kind of cool. Okay, I have to talk about Sheriff Loomis, Randy Quaid's character, who, like I say, bothered me more than he bothered you
Yeah.
in his delivery. But he was so fixated on making drug references and, messed up in the head and things like that, that I capped out 3 clips of him in a row saying things like this.
Time to drain the drug overdose sloshing above your eyebrows and tell me who the dude was driving that other car. I know it's gonna be hard with your melon on chemical overload, but there's a killer out there and I'm gonna track the hairball down. What about you, maggot? Huh? You got anything to say, or are your veins bloated with brain eradicator too?
See, he's a little fixated.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing. But anyway, he didn't bother me. I mean, I wasn't bothered by him other than he's just stereotyped. That's all.
Yeah, very much so.
There's one night scene between Carrie and Jake as they're talking to each other on her porch, I guess, at the end of their evening of going out. That's after they went and doinked up at the springs. And you can see their breath. It was cold that night. And I'm always impressed when actors and actresses can act like it's warm when it's obviously freaking
When they're freezing outside.
So it's probably the best acting that Sherilyn Fenn did that day. It's right there. Is acting like you can't see her breath in front of her.
Acting like it's a nice warm evening when they're obviously it's not.
For those of you who don't know, it can get very cold in the desert at night. It is possible. It is possible.
It is possible.
That's right.
So now the pyrotechnic budget in this movie had to have been huge.
You mean half their budget?
Yeah, it had to
Half
have
their
been.
budget.
Because, man, the things they blew up.
There is one scene in particular. This is when we finally lose the Gutter Boys. When the Wraith drives his vehicle straight into their shop. And this shop is big, and it's out in the middle of nowhere on its own, just so they can blow it up, of course. And it's big. It's a big building. And he drives in there and it explodes. And oh my God, the pyrotechnics. They did everything right in that shot. You had the stereotypical barrels going up on the outside that look like rockets flying up. And that whole place just obliterates. It turns into shrapnel. Boom! And a big fireball to the sky. And that was pretty impressive. There was only one other vehicle blowing up that was kind of similar to that. So yeah, big thumbs up.
Yeah, they did some. Yeah, now the very first explosion was, of course, the first Augie's death, and that went on and on and on.
They blew up a car and they rolled it down a hill, and by God, did they get their money's worth on that one, didn't they?
Yeah.
It just kept rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling, and they just kept filming and filming and filming. And then the cops show up, and that was one of my favorite lines, too, when they were talking about, the one guy says something along the lines of, think he made it. The other guys, are you kidding me? Or something.
Calling a DOA on this one.
I can't remember what they said, but I'll leave it right here.
Think you made it? You gotta be kidding me. Local kid? Used to be.
Yep, the cops are, they can see the obvious, I guess. Oh, there was the one scene with Clint Howard that both of us said something about. When Sheriff Loomis shows up at the shop after it exploded. You have a whole scene with Clint Howard where he's getting all emotional about those guys were in there and I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that he was dead when they put him in the car. And all of that. And he's so upset. And you can tell that Clint Howard, the actor, reaches up to wipe his eyes and says, "Oh shit," you can tell halfway in the scene, "I have glasses on."
It's like, oh,
and
crap.
so he quickly uses his other hand and yanks his glasses off, and then he rubs his eyes.
Improvises and said, "Oh, okay."
And it's like, "Yep, I'm going to mention that," because it was pretty funny.
That he had forgot he was.
Yeah, he totally did. He totally forgot he was wearing glasses when it was pretty obvious. And they left it in there because this film had like a 20-some day shoot, right?
You were 27 days, so they didn't have time to reshoot.
So if one thing I would say about the chases, the races, it's all the same race.
Yeah,
it's all the same thing. The way that he kills Augie is they race for a while, and you get all of these shots of racing cars, blah, blah, blah. You know, we've seen it a million times. And then at some point, the Wraith says, "Okay, I'm done playing with you." And he takes off, and he goes way up ahead. And the other guy is left saying, "Where'd it go?" And then he comes around the corner, and there's the Wraith parked across the lane of the car that's racing, right? And then it hits the car, and it explodes. But, of course, the Wraith is a ghost, so it doesn't do anything to it. And the guys explode, and they go off the road, and they tumble, and they die. That's exactly the way all of them are killed that race. It's the same thing. Even the last guy, even Packard dies that way.
Even Packard dies that way, yeah.
The only difference is in Packard's case, it's just the Wraith standing on the road. It's not his car. He gets out.
Well,
and
the Wraith,
isn't it?
I had the Wraith and then the car too. But he's the only one that saw the Wraith. But then the car, I thought, I'd have to see it again.
Yeah, because the car was there too. Because I thought it was just him standing out there. But you're right. I think there were two cars mashed.
I think it started with him standing there, but then I thought the car materialized too. But maybe not.
It doesn't
maybe
matter.
Not. Yeah, because I know when the cops are chasing at the very end, that now the cops are chasing the Wraith, and then he disappears. You know, the whoa light,
and the lights go up in the sky.
When they do that look back and they capture that rainbow, that was incidental. That just that wasn't planned. That wasn't an insert. That just happened to be there when they did that shot.
Wow, what do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. So they of course just left it in.
I do not there are so many things about this that I do not understand. Like the whole Brace is disappearing and he becomes whole again.
I can kind of understand that. That's kind of the healing. You know, he came back for revenge, and each time he healed a little bit until finally he was free.
But if you can run around without those anyway, what does it matter?
It's symbolic. It's all symbolic.
Oh, it's the symbolism. And she's dead. She's dead. Carrie's dead. Carrie is dead. You know she's
symbolism.
Dead.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I don't think Carrie's dead. But I do not okay, explain this to me. Why would it be necessary for the gang members that are killed in the accidents to not show signs of fire damage? What is the point?
What is the point of that? Other than part of his healing is to suck their souls?
I think
is that your typical soul-sucking look?
I think the real reason, of course, is that they were trying for a PG-13 and not an R rating. And so they didn't show a bunch of bloody bodies, maybe, but...
It showed the burned grizzly skeletons, yeah.
You would think they could. It was just a weird thing that was never explained. There was no explanation for it. There was no reason. The Wraith didn't say Jake didn't say anything about it, or...
Yeah, my mind just went to soul sucking. That as he was seeking his revenge, he ate their souls, which was part of his healing. That's kind of where my mind went.
Well, were Packard's eyes gone when? Oh, they were. So each time they did suck his eyes. Okay, so the Wraith sucks their eyes out.
That was my theory.
Is it true that his eyeballs was all sucked out of his sockets and everything?
And takes their souls to
heal
and replaces braces. that his metaphysical braces, because it doesn't really matter because the car is a ghost too.
But it was like his body count. It was his way of keeping track of, oh, wait, I've still got one more to go. Who's that? Who do I got to kill now?
Every time you say body count, I'm putting it in here. Body count, body count. Body count, body count. A little clip of that song is going in every time you say body count. I cannot not hear it now. So
do we need to plug that show? Because that is something that, while we're talking body count, that's a show that you're watching.
You are thinking of the Dead Me channel. He makes kill count videos that cover all the deaths in horror movies.
No, body count is a song. Body count.
That's a song, not the show that you watch that does the body count.
I hear body count the song every time you say it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
No.
Now we're on the same page. I thought you were talking about the show that you watch that does a body count.
No, I'm doing the body count song.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, would you recommend this movie to anyone? That's easy for me to say. I said a recommend.
I would.
You recommend this song?
I would. I didn't fall asleep.
There you go. That is the number one priority in all of our.
I didn't fall asleep. It kept my attention. And then if you watch it with those little bits of, well, is she alive or is she dead? Is he sucking their soul to heal himself? Might put a different twist on how you watch it.
I say yes, recommend you watch it just because it's pure mid-'80s weird filmmaking with stereotypical 80s characters and those gutter boys. Oh my God. They're hard They're hard to take, but they also say the funniest things in the movie. Intentionally funny at the time, but also now ironically funny lines that I like to cap because they're so stupid. They're so dumb.
Very much so.
Oh, especially Gutter Boy. He's he's pretty bad.
A lot of dorks going around these days, gang. Whole town seething with it, crawling out of the woodwork.
Shut up.
Okay.
I think it was kind of maybe some inbreeding that went on with those nephews.
You think?
That's the character they were playing anyways.
Yeah, maybe they
less drug brain fried and more inbreeding is what I was getting. Yeah.
I kind of liked how the dumbest of the two brothers, which was Gutter Boy, was never one. He never took drugs. He wasn't the one doing the drugs.
Right.
As a matter of fact, when he'd be offered, he'd be like, "No, man.
Oh, man.
I don't do drugs. Yeah, I like being this way. I don't want to be dumber than I am."
Oh my God. Oh, he's so dumb. All right. If you have any thoughts on the Wraith, and why wouldn't you? Seriously, share them with us.
Watch it and let us know.
Yeah, cavebabble@gmail.com or head on over to cavebabble.com and see a list of our shows and check out something else. If you'd really like to check out one of our episodes, please go ahead and sign up, or subscribe, I should say, on iTunes. Search for Cavebabble Podcast. It pops right up. And if you like what you hear, give us a review. We would appreciate that.
Believe it or not, we do have some good shows out there.
Unlike this piece of crap, there are some good shows that we've had. Seriously.
I think this was a good one.
This
was a fun one.
This is a fun one. You may join our Facebook group. Please do. Go to Facebook, search for Cavebabble, ask to join, and we will accept you. We are very accepting. You can be part of our gang, whether you're dead or not.
That's right.
That's right. And that's about it. Anything to add at the end here?
I think we've covered this very well.
I think we have too. Boy, have we spent more time on this movie than the makers did.
27 days.
That's right. All right, everyone. Thanks for all the downloads and listens. And until next week, we're out of here.
We're out of here.
Bye.
Bye. I don't want no drugs.
I don't want no drugs. Who was that guy? All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Everyone should have a skank.
Podcasting's choice From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PMR.